The death of Jesus is for all the sins that you commit probably day after day that you don't know about. Things that you do that you don't realize you're doing. You're sorry for them when they're brought to light. You confess them, and God forgives you and cleanses you from all unrighteousness, and you go on. Jesus' death is to cover those sins and to put them as far as the east is from the west. But loved ones, it is not to provide for future sinning. Loved ones, don't you see yourself? It's madness. Don't you see yourself? It makes no sense. I mean, if what we're saying now is not the gospel, the other stuff is foolishness. The other stuff you know is foolishness. Nobody here on earth would think of dealing with you that way. Well, do your best. Do your best anyway. And whatever kind of a mess you end up at the end of this life, I'll haul you into heaven, and somehow or other will make it work. It doesn't make sense. You know it doesn't work. Mortal sin is conscious, known disobedience to God's law. In other words, you can't take communion today and have in your heart a determination to continue doing what you know is wrong. See, that's it. That's it. I mean, you can, but there'll be no work done in your spirit, and there'll be no real relationship with God. You'll be a hypocrite just talking big, but not living in the power of God's Spirit. Now, that runs through all of the Old Covenant and all of the New Covenant. Just look, loved ones, at Matthew chapter 17. Matthew 5, I'm sorry. It's Matthew 5. Because I do think some of us are genuinely confused about this, and I think it's good to clarify it. Matthew 5 and verse 17. Because I know what's in our hearts, but Jesus, I mean, he's forgiveness and mercy. But here are the Lord's own words. 838 is the page, and it's Matthew 5 and 17. Think not that I have come to abolish the law and the prophets. I have come not to abolish them, but to fulfill them. For truly I say to you, till heaven and earth pass away, not an iota. It's like an apostrophe, Not an iota, not a dot, not a period, will pass from the law until all is accomplished. Whoever then relaxes one of the least of these commandments and teaches men so shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But he who does them and teaches them shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. Doesn't mean he'll be in the kingdom of heaven, the man who's called least. He'll be called least in the kingdom of heaven. He who does them and teaches them shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I tell you, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven.